Yo, what's up guys? Everyone, today we're talking about season 3 of the White Lotus. Now, I just finished the season 8 season finale, not season 8, episode 8, season 3 season finale. It's literally about to be 8 o'clock a.m. here on the East Coast, but let's go ahead and talk about it. So, now overall, I give season 3 of White Lotus an 8 out of 10, but before we get into everything, we gotta get into the season finale, which was just absolutely absurd. So many things happened. First things first, let's give a quick summary. So it starts off in Thailand. The only recurring characters are Greg and Belinda. There's a lot of the people that we have to go ahead and introduce. So there's the trio of Lori, Jacqueline Lemon, and Kate. There's Belinda's son, Zion, who comes in later. There's Porn Chai, who's messing with Belinda. There's the Rattler family with Tim. There's Victoria. There's Piper. There's Lachlan. And there's Saxon. And then there's a couple people that's working on the island as well that we learn, like Mook, like Gatak, Fabian. There's also Valentine. And there's Valentine's friends as well, like Alexi. And they're like Russian friends. We learned about them as well. It was just a lot of new characters. I'm trying to remember if I forgot anybody. Oh yeah, Rick. There's Rick's girlfriend, Chelsea. There's Chloe, who is Gary, aka Greg's girlfriend or wife. I forgot. I don't know if they were like tying out or anything like that, but yeah, it was just a group of very new people. That's one thing about the White Lotus. There's a lot of new characters, not really a lot of recurring characters. Like throughout the seasons, my favorite season was season 2. They had Michael Imperioli, who was in The Sopranos and the White Lotus, and just watched this a couple days back, The Goodfellas. Alexandra Daddario, Aubrey Plaza, Sydney Sweeney, Theo James, this, that, and the third, you name it. But other than that, I think I've touched the bases of all that. Let's get into the finale. The finale, just finished it. It is currently 12:09 here on the East Coast. Just finished it it's like 20 minutes ago. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Now, overall, like I said earlier, I give White Lotus an 8 out of 10. I don't know if I said it earlier, but if I didn't, cool. If I did, whatever. I give it an 8 out of 10 though. The finale I think was pretty cool. I was really interested to see what was gonna happen. Obviously rooting for Belinda. Shout out to Belinda. Belinda ran off on the plug. Shout out to Zion, her son. Initially she got a 100K offer for Greg as hush money because she was supposed to get a lot of money from Tanya, but he did what he did, and Tanya is unfortunately no longer with us, which is tough because she was the main character in the show and she was great in season 2, and then the ending is her unfortunately just falling off the yacht, and that was it. It was brutal. Shout out to Jennifer Coolidge, just a phenomenal actress. I think it's my first time seeing her in a show or movie. She was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Definitely left a lasting impression on me for sure. But yeah, shout out to Belinda. Belinda definitely won at the end. Spoilers, by the way, if you haven't watched season 3 of the White Lotus. Shouldn't even click the video for being serious, but yeah, let's get into it. First things first, I'm so happy for Belinda. $5 million in the bank. Can we just clap it up for Belinda? I'll be honest with y'all, this is like ingrained in my brain right now. I've been looking through Twitter comments, Reddit on the White Lotus HBO Reddit community. Belinda did Porn Chai just like how Tanya did Belinda. Now, am I happy that Belinda got her money? Absolutely. But you could just see the sorrow, the sadness in Porn Chai's face when Belinda tells him that she's leaving Thailand, this is her last day, and then she's on a boat with her son Zion waving, and you can see she's emotional, he's emotional. Just the sadness, just an absolute blue ball of absolute hell. Overall, I give the White Lotus season 3 an 8 out of 10. I'll be honest, first 3 episodes I was like, okay, cool. Episode 4 hits, episode 5 hits, and then so on and so forth. I'm like, yo, y'all got me. I'm not gonna lie, y'all got me for sure. I'll get into as well. Piper was talking about in the season finale how people are, you know, attached to certain things, and how she was at the monastery and she didn't know if she could eat the food for that long, or live in the living conditions, or the bed, or have no AC. And I'm like, damn, like we really are attached to certain things that we're lucky to have. And I don't think we know how lucky we are. A lot of people are struggling for a lot of things, and here we have everything. I mean, it obviously depends. Obviously, they were living like above, like they were rich, okay? There's rich, middle class, and then lower class. They were definitely rich. Tim was rich. We'll get into Tim as well, because at the ending as well, I didn't really understand it. The fact that Tim, he had that fraud scheme going on, and he literally gave the workers of the island all of the money, not all the money, but all the phones and electronics, and at the end, they all have it, but it was subtle. I expected a larger reaction. The fact that they were going to lose everything in their life, home, money, they were going to have like nothing. And it was a subtle reaction. It was a very, very subtle reaction. Also in the finale, Zion, my boy Zion was cooking. Not Zion Williamson, I'm talking about Zion, Belinda's son was cooking. He went to like, well, U of H, he got his MBA. He was cooking. Shout out to bro. He was cooking with Gary, aka Greg. The fact that Greg was one of the recurring characters with Belinda, it was rough. Not for Belinda, I love Belinda, but for Greg, I mean, come on, my brother of Christ. And Gary is still alive. Nothing happened to him. He just gave Belinda some hush money, and then she's just chilling. She got $100K off her initially, and then John's maybe like, can we get like a cool $1 million off him? And then he says $5 million. Greg tables it, and then Belinda opens up her laptop in the middle of the night. $5 million. Before that, she had like $12K in her checkings account. Just absolutely insane. But Chelsea actually went out bad with Rick, her husband, and shout out to Lachlan, by the way. I thought he went out bad. So basically, I don't know why, by the way, they have these trees at the resort. Suicide trees. You basically eat what is inside of it, and then you just pass away. It's basically like you're just trying to commit. And Tim is a menace to society. He literally got a lot of them and tried to put them in the blender. And I don't know what happened. He said it was like a pina colada, and then he puts it in. I don't know if he put it in, but everybody took a drink. Saxon took a good gulp, and then he like broke the cup. Tim did. Come to find out, they were all cool, and then Lachlan saw something inside, and he put some powder on him because he wanted to be like his big brother Saxon, who has these powder drinks, and he takes it and passes out at the pool and somehow makes it out. I mean, shout out to Lachlan, but I don't know how he made it out of that. Rick as well. I mean, Rick, the whole storyline about him with his father, and come to find out, his father is Jim, who literally, he thought Jim popped his father, but in reality, Jim is his father. And then he pops Jim, and then Jim's wife tells Rick that instead that was his father, but Jim didn't give off that impression when he saw him for the second time. He was like, I want to get him out of there. You can't be on my property. Hell no. Come to find out, that's his father? Bro, what? Good for Lachlan, like I said. Somehow he made it out. He said he saw God. Shout out to bro. Shout out to bro for show. Great trio moment with Jacqueline, with Lori, with Kate. I forgot to mention that as well, I think as well. Yep. Shout out to them. Kate was the one that was like the mediator. Jacqueline, she was Jacqueline's a hard person. She's like a loud character. She's just hard to like explain. And then there's Lori, who gives up this like very blunt vibe. Like, she's honest, but she also is an emotional person as well. She had a great trio moment as well with them, where she thanks them and talks about how she really cherishes their moments together, even if it's something subtle or something small. She really does appreciate it in the grand scheme of things, which is really, really cool to hear. I just hate how Chelsea went out. Like, Rick went out bad because he popped Jim, and then I forgot who. They were just firing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then Chelsea gets popped. And then Rick gets popped by Gatak, which was big because Gatak, throughout the whole entire season, he was like second guessing himself. He was even about to quit because he had this piece on him, but he wasn't a violent person, so he didn't really know if he had it into him to pull the trigger. Now he did pull the trigger, and Rick got popped. And actually sad enough, they literally mentioned before, like not too long ago, Chelsea was like, we're gonna be together forever, huh? And Rick's like, of course, that's the plan. And then Chelsea gets really excited, and then you go to that part where they were together forever, technically in the river, but yeah, that was pretty tough. All right, right off the bat though, starting off at the top, I instantly got Only Murders in the Building flashbacks from the intro. If you watched Only Murders in the Building, listen to the intro of the new season of The White Lotus. It literally gave me instant flashbacks. On Hulu, by the way. Shout out to Amy Lou Wood. Loved her in Sex Education. She was really good as well here. I actually learned I read something about her. Apparently she was trying to make it into this role as an American voice, but the way her teeth are, she could only do it with a I don't know where she's really from. I'm just gonna say okay, let me actually look this up because I don't want to mispronounce where she's, or like not mispronounce, but not say where she's actually from. So she's from the UK. I was gonna say a UK voice, so yeah, I would have been correct, but there we go. But yeah, shout out to her for sure. A really good character. I hated how she went out at the end. Shout out to Belinda. Always rooting for Belinda the entire series. Just in a very, very great person, just full of life. You just absolutely just love rooting for her. So shout out to Belinda for sure. This man Rick is a menace to society. Bro literally freed the snakes, up pole at the end. He literally saw his dad, who didn't know. He thought it was the guy who popped his dad. Went to there, lied about something with his friend Frank to get to his wife, to get to him, to get alone with him. And then all he did to the old man was literally just push his like rocking chair down and just leave. And then I'm like, what? But at the end, obviously, when he ends up popping him, but he popped his own dad. But why would he talk that poorly about Rick's mother? He called her out of her name, and then she's just, I don't even know what I'm so confused. I'm genuinely lost for words. I need somebody to please let me know what happened with that. Shout out to Lisa. She was Mook. My boy could talk, but he was fanned out over Mook. Shout out to Lisa, by the way. I've been seeing a lot of people saying, well, why was she in this, and what was her like her purpose? But I feel like she was a pretty cool, one of those like extremely just full of life, extremely just like happy-go-lucky type of people. I love people like that for sure. Greg being one of the only recurring characters was brutal. I mean, shout out to Belinda, but Greg, all he had at the end was, oh no, Belinda knows, but we gave her $5 million in hush money, so whatever. And by the way, I did not know that Tanya was worth $500 million? $500 million? 500 million? My God, that is absolutely absurd. Belinda is generally one of the most only sane characters. Tim with that fraud scheme. I don't know how, again, there wasn't a bigger outbreak at the end. Like, your life is literally about to change, and we get a subtle thing at the end there. I just don't get that whatsoever. And then Jim went out terrible. I mean, Jim, you could have told him that it was your son, he wouldn't have popped you. The impression you gave was that, that was somebody else's kid, and then he ends up popping him like pop. I mean, that's tough. Like I said, my boy could talk, but he was fanned out over Mook, and then at the end he ends up getting her. He ends up becoming what? Was he not like the driver for Jim's wife? I forgot her name. I know she's pretty big, but shout out to her. She definitely got motion for show. Piper, she really dropped that monastery bombshell really out of nowhere. So you went there, she said initially it was for a thesis. So she went to, I always want to say Thailand or Thailand. I'm gonna say Thailand. Maybe. I don't know if that's correct or not. But she went there for a thesis in actuality. She went there to see, the people there and maybe go to one of those, maybe live at one of those camps for like a year. And I mentioned earlier, she just couldn't. I mean, she should have played off initially like it was cool, but she knows she couldn't live like that. She knows she got to live the bougie life with Tim and obviously her mother Victoria as well. Shout out to Lori. Lori's fire. Lori's probably my favorite one of the trio. She's wild. I mess with Lori. Lori's a freak. Lori, you are a freak. And fuck Fabian, not gonna lie. Like, he just didn't give Belinda the type of support that she needed. She tried to like act like she was like paranoid and like acting insane when in actuality she was really correct. She knew that Gary was Greg and how he was a menace to society, and Fabian at the end, I mean, he went out bad. Hey Fabian, I don't feel bad, brother. I don't feel bad. You feel what I'm saying? And again, like I mentioned, why are those trees at the resort? People could just take them out of nowhere and then just get popped. Like, why are they even there? Lori, Kate, and Jacqueline are such an interesting trio. Like I mentioned earlier, Lori's a freak for that. I forgot about that scene. This is why I write things down. Lori, you are a freak for the episode 5 thing and overall as well. Lori was literally in the pool with multiple men just unclothed. Like, you are a freak, Lori. Shout out to Belinda. She won for a little bit with Porn Chai. Zion found them. They were literally sleeping. She literally called them there because she heard a noise and they ended up sleeping and kissing and then Zion just finds them at the end and he's like, oh, interesting. Jacqueline and Valentine, hysterical. Apparently Lori had her eyes on Valentine. She ends up getting mad. Kate finds out about Jacqueline and Valentine tells Lori. Lori gets very jealous, tells that to Jacqueline, and they have kind of like a mini falling out, but ends up getting patched up at the end. The Lachlan and Saxon thing, I have to like erase that from my brain. Like, the fact that he tried to justify that in the season finale to Lachlan, saying that, oh, you look left out, I'm a pleasure, I want to pleasure you. That's your brother. What you mean? He didn't just like lips. He was top. What, yo, bro? That's a no. Oh my God, he's a menace to society. At least they ended up cooking though with Chloe. They didn't do anything with Chelsea. Chelsea's a real one. That's why I feel bad for her too. Chloe was messing with Lachlan and Saxon, and Chelsea was telling everybody off. She only had eyes for Greg. Even though she only had eyes for Rick, even though Greg had no problem with people having eyes for Chloe because he had this kind of like, he's a freak, because he said he was kind of like, to his parents, and that's like mental, that's something wrong with him mentally for sure. Like, that's not a regular human being. That guy is a menace to society. Just an extremely odd kink. Like I said, Lori was so jealous too at that Valentine thing, and then she ends up messing with Alexei, the Russian guy who was with another one of their friends, and Valentino Riggs at the island, and they were just robbing the island. And then I keep wanting to say Mook. Gatak doesn't let them know, and he ends up just becoming the driver for Jim's wife. So that was absolutely insane. Kate is so innocent. She's just about like the mediator, be like in the middle of the both of them. When at the end, I love how they all got together and had that moment, how they appreciate every single one of them and was able to have a really good moment together. It was just really cool because you live and you learn, and you need some positivity in your life. Negativity every so often, all right, but you need some positivity. You need to get that like feeling in your bones and things of that nature as well. So yeah, Nice. So Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is making this video. Just signed a 14-year deal for $500 million with the Toronto Blue Jays. Shout out to Vladdy. Shout out to Toronto. Shout out to the Blue Jays. Finally. Like, the fact that I'm looking at the cash right now, I'm just realizing that, what's his name? Saxton, IRL, is Patrick Schwarzenegger, who is Arnold's son, which is just absolutely insane. Like I mentioned earlier, Amy Lou Wood as well. Shout out to Walton Goggins. Shout out to Lisa as Mook. Amy Lou Wood as Chelsea. Parker Posey as Victoria Ratliff. Shout out to Michelle Monaghan as Jacqueline Lemon. Jason Isaacs as Timothy Ratliff. Carrie Koo as Lori. Leslie Bibb as Kate. Sam Navola as Lachlan Ratliff. Sarah Catherine Hook as Piper Ratliff. The Menace John Grimes as Greg Hunt. Charlotte LeBon as Chloe. My GOAT Natasha Rothwell fired tweets on Twitter, by the way, as Belinda. Sam Rockwell as Frank. Ernest Federificus as Valentine. Tame as Gatok. Julian Kostov as Alexei. And Yuri Kolokolnikov as Vlad. Scott Glenn as Jim Hollinger. Just an absolutely absurd season of the White Lotus. Again, you just can't go into this and be like, you saw that happening with Lachlan in this. You saw Tim at the end with those drinks. You saw Rick and Chelsea and Jim and this, that, and the third. You didn't see any of that happening. Just, you couldn't have scripted some of the most insane things that we see in the White Lotus. Just another really good season of White Lotus. Season 4 will be seated. Probably with some more, probably with a lot more new characters. As I mentioned earlier, this show has a lot of, has a lack of recurring characters. So, hey. Maybe the Ratliff family stays. Maybe that's the last we see them. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah. But other than that, yo, that is the video. So go down below, drop a like, comment down below, sub up. Make sure to follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and TikTok. My boy John. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video, and I'm out, man. Peace.